Hello again, Struck Pub. Today I'm bringing you 3 videos for Disciples Liberation that should serve as an ultimate newbie guide as well as my final impressions/review. This is video number 2. It will cover Yllian, which is the castle, the base of operation, where we have our blacksmith, where we have our marketplace, and the army recruitment buildings. It also covers units and companions in our army, as well as the wood and itemization of the game. In video number 1, which you can watch on my channel as well, will be more about the combat, more about the map and the world size, as well as the quests, main, side and companion quests. In video number 3, you would be able to find information about build diversity, about the resources in the game, and about liberation mode, which is the new game plus mode after finishing the game once, as well as the pros and cons. Let's talk about Yllian. Yllian is your base of operations. It's the place where we do a lot of things. You can, for example, check the buildings like castle, marketplace and blacksmith. Those buildings are necessary. Castle is the core of the place. You can speak to your companions here, train companions and special units, research spells, gather resources, and reassign your skills. Respect your skills and change your class. Gathering resources is done by just clicking gather and see based on how many mines you have. Based on how many mines you've got right now, it will generate X amount per hour, and when this limit is filled, you have to gather it, otherwise you stop getting those resources. So it works in such a way. Every building has certain tiers, and the castle tier decides the maximum tier of the other building. If you have tier 1 castle, you can only have tier 1 buildings. Tier 2 castle unlocks tier 2 upgrades for the other buildings and spells as well. Tier 3 castle unlocks tier 3 spells and buildings, and tier 4 the tier 4 version. This one gives you 25 leadership to Yllian. This gives you 50, 75, 100 leadership to Yllian. I think the 25 gets replaced by the 50. I'm not sure if it's 25 plus 50. If it's 25 plus 50, that means right now I should have 250, and I definitely don't have 250 leadership, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, see? So from a tier 4 castle you would get 100 leadership. The other 75 I've got is from leveling up. Leadership is an interesting system. I will talk about it later during the units and armies segment. Now, apart from the castle, there is the marketplace, the blacksmith, and the army recruitment buildings. More about the army recruitment buildings in a moment. So the marketplace and the blacksmith can be placed in those 2 places. They are fixed places for those, whereas those 4 slots are fixed for army recruitment buildings. The marketplace is where you hire mercenaries, buy equipment, and buy resources. The mercenaries, every 60 minutes you would have a random choice of units, and what units you can get depends on the tier of the building, but the tier of the building depends on the castle tier. So if you want tier 3 units, you need tier 3 castle for a tier 3 marketplace. Equipment, again, what type of equipment is it depends on the tier of this building. See, this one would let you buy iron and wood, common equipment, I think green as well, and higher tier 1 mercenaries. This one gives you tier 2 mercenaries, rare equipment, arcane flux, and also discount on iron and wood. This one gives you more discount on iron wood as well as arcane flux, lets you buy divine primal and unholy essence, as well as buying epic equipment. And now this one, I think, removes green equipment from the possible equipment that you can see here, and increases the discounts. And I think this one removes the white equipment. So you might start with certain types of equipment, but later you get more as choices. And again, every 60 minutes, this one resets. Now, in terms of resources, you can increase the amount you want to trade, but this is a very flawed and limited system. It only lets you use gold to buy resources. It doesn't let you use resources to buy gold or use resources to buy other resources. For example, and eventually you would notice that iron and wood, you have way more than you need, but you don't have an option to turn iron and wood into gold or to turn iron and wood into flux or essences. And that is a big problem. You cannot turn essences into flux as well. And we need to see changes. We need to see changes where you can sell everything for gold, or where you can, even to make it even better, convert everything for another thing. So essence versus essence for essence should probably have a fixed rate. Essence for flux, another type of fixed rate. Essence for iron and wood, another fixed rate. The same goes for iron and essences, and wood and essences, a certain fixed rate, and so on. You get my drift here. So that's it for the marketplace. It's interesting though, it's interesting, but let's go for the blacksmith now. The blacksmith is where you can upgrade equipment and merge emotion shards. Upgrading equipment lets you take green items. Actually, there are no white items, my bad. So green is the smallest item. It lets you take green items, common items, or blue items, or epic items, or legendary. It doesn't matter. Common, rare, epic, legendary. You can take any item. And then you pay a fee. So how much you pay depends on the rarity of the item, obviously. And you upgrade it from tier 1 all the way, let's show you, from tier 1 all the way to tier 5. Obviously you need certain tiers of the building to unlock certain tiers of upgrades. Tier 1 blacksmith lets you upgrade to tier 2. Tier 3 lets you upgrade to tier 2 lets you upgrade to tier 3. 3 to 4, and 4 lets you get tier 5 equipment. Also you get 10%, 15%, 20% discount on the upgrades as you upgrade that. So you can see how you can upgrade certain things. I'm just showing you here. So let's not waste all the resources. This is nice, this is a very cool system, another layer of that, so it's pretty solid, and I really love that. We'll talk more about equipment in detail later. Merging emotion shards, it's pretty simple. It lets you take 2 shards of a certain rarity, for example those 2 epic shards. You can see 2 morale, 15 divine resistance, grants immunity immobilized, and then I would pay the price and it gives me a legendary one which gives me 3 instead of 2 morale. Gives me 5% more divine resistance, and it also gives me 1 movement, as well as immunity to a paralyzed on top of the immobilized. And boom, it's upgraded. And we have it. So this is how this works. Very simple and straightforward system. Thankfully, you can make legendary shards all the way from tier 1. You don't need tier 5 to make legendary shards. If you have tier 1 blacksmith, as long as you have the shards required, for example, you need 2 green to make blue, 2 blue to make purple, 2 purple to make legendary. So you need, what is that, 16 green, I think, to make a legendary, something like that. Obviously, you would be finding higher rarity shards as the game progresses, but you would start with mostly green drops at first. The same applies for gear. Now let's talk about faction army buildings. There are 4 more building slots as I mentioned, and those are walked specifically to certain things. Again, upgrading to tier 4 requires maximum reputation with a certain faction. You cannot get a tier 4 building until you have a revered reputation. So once you have revered, you can just upgrade this way, boom, and now this would let you recruit the tier 4 units of that building. If you don't want that building and want to change it, you can phase out. Phasing out removes the building, but the building is not destroyed. You can bring it back. see, this is the building I phased out, but since it's a tier 4 building, it will cost me 1500 to bring it back. Whereas a tier 1 building costs 500 to bring back. And you need to have enough gold to keep phasing in and out. In general, 4 buildings are enough for most people, but if you love experimenting in the beginning, it will be very expensive to keep using gold to phase in and out buildings. See, I brought the Hall of Sins, but let's say I don't want the Hall of Sins. I want to put it back and I want to bring, for example, the Desecrated Church. Then here we get the Desecrated Church and we can upgrade it to tier 2, to tier 3 and to tier 4. And now we can recruit certain units here. But the biggest problem I have with this one is you cannot preview the units until you phase the building. So if I phase out and if I cannot preview here, I would like to be able to right click on this unit's portrait so I can know, okay, do I want to invest into that building? Do I want to build it or do I want to save my money? This needs to be changed. This is one of the things that will go at the end of the video as a con. Now let's talk about units and companions. Apart from Aviana, our army consists of regular units, like for example, this one is a regular unit at tier 3, this one is a regular unit at tier 3. Regular units come between tier 1, 2, 3 and 4. There's a 4 here. And special units, like this one, which has a special name, more about it in a moment. Then we have companions. There's a total of 9 companions, so alongside Aviana, that's a total of 10, but Aviana is not a companion. You can have 2 companions before finishing the game for the first time. After you finish the game and unlock Liberation mode, your Liberation mode playthrough would let you have 9 companions. Alongside Aviana, that makes 10. We have a front line and a back line of our army. So on the front line, you can have 10 pieces of army, I guess, 10 army units, whereas in the back line there are 3 SWATs. So the front line 10, back line 3, 2 companions, and another thing you need to know about is leadership. Leadership, you get every 5 levels, 5 leadership. You don't get 1 leadership per level, you get it in batches of 5. And as I mentioned, the castle gives you leadership. At tier 1 it's 25, then that gets boosted to 50, not boosted by 50, so it's not 25 plus 50, it's 25, then it becomes 50, so you get another 25, then you get another 25 for 75, then you get another 25 for a total of 100. As you can see, my leadership is 175, so that means I have 75 leadership that doesn't come from the castle at level 67. So leadership, as you can see, every unit has a leadership cost. Backline does not cost leadership, frontline does. Companions don't cost leadership, Aviana does not cost leadership. Now I'm gonna quickly show you something by arranging things by tiers. You can see tier 4 units always 40 leadership. Tier 3 units always 30 leadership. Tier 2 units always 20 leadership, and tier 1 units always 10. So for every tier 10 leadership points. That's for balancing reasons. Eventually in Liberation mode you can just make a team of 9 companions, and that's gonna be amazing. A team of 9 companions. More about Liberation mode at the end of the game. So combining the leadership points and deciding what units of what tiers you wanna take, of what races, with what abilities, combining that with the 2 companions and with Aviana and with the 3 units that go in the backline, that provides you a solid layer of the build diversity. As for special units, I mentioned something called a special unit. What makes a special unit different than a regular unit? Let's show you, for example, something that can be used as a comparison. I'm gonna take this succubus and then this unit, put them at the same level. Let me quickly train that special unit here. And now let's take that one other unit. I think I can train her probably here. Let me just quickly phase out. So succubus, host of sins, train units. Let's take this, put it at the level 67, and now I'm gonna show you the difference between the two units. So you see, this one is a succubus unit, but she has a name, and the only difference between her and a regular succubus unit would be the HP. This one has 1850. This one doesn't give it HP, just so you know. And if you were to take the regular succubus unit of the same level, 1433, so that's like 400 more HP. In terms of initiative, this is 120, 410 power, and this one is 130. This doesn't give initiative. The same power, it seems. The crit chance is increased for this unit. This doesn't give me crit chance, keep that in mind. Yet, you see, this gives me that crit chance. Keep in mind that the bonuses here of the morale from faction are not up white in this screen. This unit normally would have actually extra morale. Extra morale that comes from here. So I'm at Revere, that means 3 extra morale. So while I'm in the unit screen, I don't see that extra morale. This unit right now will actually be at Exalted. That means it will have 10 more crit chance than what you're seeing here, and it will have 15% more power than what you're seeing here while it's in combat. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply until you're in a battle, and the units benefit from Aviana's reputation increases. So you kind of hopefully got the idea of the difference between a special and regular unit. They're exactly the same in terms of skills, passive ability and backline ability, but you cannot replace special units. You can train them over here. You see that some units, see, some of those are companions, like starting from here everything else is companion, but that's a special unit, tier 3, tier 2 special unit, tier 2, tier 1 special unit, and so on. So it's exactly the same as the tier 2 counterpart, just sometimes with a little bit more HP, a little bit or more crit chance, and so on. And you cannot replace them, so try to make sure they don't die. If a regular unit dies, you can just buy a new one and train it. Now let's talk about wood and itemization. I would like to start with Aviana and her wood. The wood system in the game is somewhat simple and easy to understand, while still providing some options for build diversity via the different stats that roll on gear, as well as the different unique affixes that come with all legendary gear and some special epic gear. There are common green items, rare blue items, epic purple items, and legendary, which is orange. So this is common. Let's see if I've got rare to show you somewhere. This is rare, this is epic, and this is legendary. And legendary, as you can see, has some sort of special abilities like those immunities, granting strong, reducing damage from dragons, and so on. As I mentioned, some purple items also have such abilities like the legendaries. So this Staff of Bones may not be legendary, but it does have Undead Horde units gain 10% to all resistance. And where did I put it? There is one item, this one, that starts as a blue, then you upgrade it to purple, and then eventually without spoiling how, you can upgrade it to a legendary. But this one, compared to other ones, I'm gonna do it in a moment, is very weak, because it's a low level item. The higher level the item, the more stats it gives. So a low level legendary won't be as good as a high level legendary. I'll do the comparison in a moment. So for example, actually let's go and show you this. If we were to take Blacksmith and his current blade and compare it to this one, you can see at tier 5 both items, the WoW level 1 gives you 18 dex, this one gives you 43 strength. If we take her, so we can compare dex with dex, this one is tier 5, this one is tier 5. See, 18 dexterity, 39 strength, more than twice. 50 power, 105 power, 10 crit chance, 20 crit chance, 17 initiative, that other one doesn't give initiative. But if you want to look at something that does give initiative, see this one, 51 initiative versus 17. Unholy resistance 10, and the other one is 20. Physical, obviously, but it's 20 of the resistance. So more than twice the stats on a higher level 60-ish, 50-60 drop item. So you don't see the level, the item level, which is kind of misleading. And yeah, eventually certain items, even though they're legendary, I can take a purple that would be better than that legendary. See, 18 dex, that is 23 dex. Maybe I can find something that's even better if I upgrade it. See, this one at tier 1 has 35 strength at tier 1 and 14 crit chance at tier 1, 105 power at tier 1. Obviously it will be better. Sure, you won't have the leech and you won't have additional 15% damage against targets below 50%, but that's how it is. Now let's have a look at Aviana's equipment and go through all the SWATs. There's a weapon, and there's a head SWAT, headgear, there's the emotion shard SWAT, and there's the chest armor SWAT, the leg armor SWAT, and the boots SWAT, shoes and boots. The weapon depends on your class. What weapons you can wear depends on what class Aviana is. This one, for example, is a legendary weapon that only Witch and Seeress classes, and the upgraded versions of them, can use. This one, where did it go? It's a weapon, a legendary weapon that only Aviana's Mercenary, Hexblade, and Warlord and their upgraded versions can use. So those three classes, Mercenary, Warlord, Hexblade, and their upgraded versions, can use blades, while the Mage version classes use staffs. The same applies for your companions. Although there are some items that only certain companions can wear, there is also regular weapons that any companion can wear. So if I were to go quickly to show you, Yllian, she's wearing a blade that's not for her, but she can wear her own specific unique bow for her, and any other blade, except blades that are specific to a certain class. You would always have those green weapons that you cannot get rid of, in case you accidentally get rid of the other stuff. Now back to Aviana. In terms of armor, again, you have all those 4 rarities. I think I found a legendary headgear eventually in the game. I don't know why it's not here. Maybe I'm mistaken, maybe there isn't one. I definitely don't remember finding... Oh yeah, there we go. There's the legendary leg armor I found. So I haven't found a legendary headgear, but I found legendary leg. I found legendary chest, different versions of it. I found legendary boots, again 2 versions of it. And this is the thing that comes with the starter pack, the 10% experience, but there's plenty of different shards you can make, as you saw earlier. So there's plenty of diversity, whether you go for strength, for con, for dex, for intelligence. See, intelligence increases the power of Mercenary, Hexblade, Seer, and Witch. Strength increases the power of Mercenary, Hexblade, and Warlord. So the Hexblade benefits from strength and intelligence, and you can get items that give you both strength and intelligence, or just one, and so on. Dexterity gives you crit chance and initiative, but the problem is you need around 80 dexterity, roughly around 80-90 dexterity to get 1%. Right now with 307 dex, I only get 3% crit chance. So stacking dex for crit chance is pretty much not that great. Stacking dex for initiative also not that great. Only 3 initiative from 300 dex. So dex stacking, dex should be the lowest priority on any build. It's much easier to get crit chance from items than from dex as a raw crit chance. It's much better to stack int or strength to get more power. See right now from Dusk Witch, which is 376, I get power. Every intelligence is 1 power. Every one intelligence 1 power. On other classes, every one strength will be 1 power, and on Hexblade, strength and intelligence, both of those would give you 1 power per each point. Stacking Constitution is nice because it gives you unholy resistance, and right now with 276 I do get 14%. So roughly every 10 is 0.5. So 280 is 14%. And if you can see my HP, 1380 is how much I'm getting from 276 experience. Definitely good to stack Constitution. So this combined with the legendary abilities of certain items provides you good build diversity if you take those skill trees here and what builds you go for. Now companions, on the other hand, can only have a weapon and a shard. And regular and special units can only have a shard, as you can see, regardless of what tier they are. For the backline, some people would say, I guess I don't need shards, I don't need initiative, stuff like that, but there are certain cases, like for example, look at this one. This is Primal. In this case, you don't need initiative. This is cast at the beginning of the fight. It doesn't matter what you put. It's not gonna do anything for that. Whereas in case for this one, backline, this Yllian's armor is cast every turn. Every turn your unit, when it's their turn based on how much initiative they have, it will do that healing and buffing thing. So putting something with more initiative would make sure that this operates sooner rather than later. But if you want to make sure that this unit doesn't cast his healing right away and want to slow it down, definitely don't put initiative. I think 135 is better than 120 for the way I play the game. I like having the buff earlier, so I can sneak in some of that Thorns, which is damage reflected. But some people might want to prefer power. Stacking power for more healing. The more the power, the better the healing. So that's another option. But in cases like this passive, it doesn't matter. This is cast once at the very beginning of the battle, and the unit doesn't have a turn anymore after that. So considering the shards and weapons of your companions, and whether you go for a more tanky or a more glass cannon setup, whether you stack power and HP, or whether you stack crit chance, whether you stack things like strength or constitution or intelligence and so on, resistances, what passive bonuses, for example, this one gives it improved critical, which I don't really need because I have improved critical from here. Actually, where was it? From here. I still do like the other option, the bleeding infliction and the stats. See, on healer units you might want to put something with power, so you heal for more, or you might want to put something as initiative, so it gets sooner, or on some units you might want to put something that gives movement. On some units you might want to stack unholy damage or divine damage if the unit does divine, or something that gives it primal damage. So depending on what unit, there's nice diversity for companions, for units, for special units on top of Aviana. Thanks for watching this video, Struck Quip. Make sure to watch the other 2 videos if you're interested in the things they cover. Remember that you can subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified when I upload more content for this game or other games. You can click the bell button after subscribing to not miss out those notifications. Additionally, there's YouTube memberships where you can pay monthly to subscribe to be a member of my channel, and you will get access to emotes and badges that have been made by me. There's also an optional thing that you can ask me for, which is some tutorials for Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and so on for YouTube members. Thanks for watching this video again. Keep it cool, and until next time, goodbye.